Okay, it's Saturday night, and what am I doing? I am sitting here in my room, and I'm about ready to talk about TNA Lockdown. Tomorrow night, in San Antonio, Texas, at the Alamo Dome, will present TNA's next pay-per-view, which is entitled Lockdown. Now, Lockdown in the past, of course, has been an all-cage match pay-per-view, and there's been a lot of really awesome things that have happened in TNA Lockdown history, and I'm actually going to talk about those in just a few minutes. So, I was not very prepared for this. Sorry about that. But anyway, we've had a lot of great matches in TNA Lockdown history. We start all the way back to 2005. 2005, of course, was... There we are. Yay, good times. The first ever match in Lockdown history was The Naturals, which, of course, the former NWA World Tag Team Champions Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens, when they had Chris Candido in their corner, and they took on the tag team of your favorite pharmacist, Lex Lovett. That's purely speculation, obviously. And the master of the Spinebuster himself, David Young, and the Three Live Crew, which you remember as Ron the Truth Killings and Conan. This show, of course, ended with the main event was a 6 sides of steel cage match for a shot at the NWA World Heavyweight Championship at Hard Justice, where AJ Styles faced off against Abyss. Now, in 2006, it was a little bit different, where we had another 6 sides of steel cage match. Of course, yeah, this was when we started the fact that it was going to be all cage matches, and the main event this time around was Jarrett's Army, which was Jeff Jarrett, Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, and AMW, which of course is Cowboy James Storm and Wildcat Chris Harris, and they lost to Sting's Warriors, which was Sting, AJ Styles, Ron Killings, and Rhino. And that, of course, was when Christian Cage was TNA, in this case, NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He defeated Abyss. 2007 Lockdown brought us another awesome Lethal Lockdown match, and it was the first time that it was called Lethal Lockdown. We saw Team Angle, which was Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, Rhino, Sting, and Jeff Jarrett, defeating Team Cage, Christian Cage's team of himself, AJ Styles, Abyss, Tomko, and Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. So, 2008, once again, a great night of action, and that ended with Samoa Joe defeating Kurt Angle. And of course, if Joe lost the match, he would be forced to retire from pro wrestling forever. So that was for the World Heavyweight Championship when Samoa Joe finally won the TNA World Heavyweight title from the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. 2009. Now, real quick, before I continue this, I did this with the Oscar videos. Now, in 2005 and 2006, it was at the Impact Zone in Orlando. In 2007, it was at the Family Arena in St. Charles, Missouri. Lowell, Mass. at Zongus Arena in 2008, and Philadelphia at Licoris Center in 2009, so we've caught up now. 2010, actually, before we go to 2009 was actually Sting defending the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Mick Foley, and that was the main event with Foley defeating Sting for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. That night, we also saw Lethal Lockdown with Jeff Jarrett, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels defeating Kurt Angle, Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, Booker T, and Kevin Nash. So, main event Mafia time right there. That was also at St. Charles, Missouri. We went to Cincinnati, Ohio for 2011 at the U.S. Bank Arena. And in the main event, we saw Fortune, Cowboy James Storm, Robert Roode, Kazarian, and Christopher Daniels defeating Immortal, which is Ric Flair, Abyss, Bully Ray, and Matt Hardy. And of course, Sting retaining the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in a 3-way dance with Rob Van Dam and Mr. Anderson. So, we went to Nashville in 2012. So last year we were in Nashville at the Municipal Auditorium. And we saw Beer Money split up. And that was the main event. Bobby Roode against Cowboy James Storm. And what a match it was, with Bobby Roode retaining the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So there were a lot of great matches on this card. I mean, this was back when Samoa Joe and Magnus were tag team. And they were tag team champions. They faced off against the Motor City Machine Guns. And definitely miss Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley together as a tag team. And this time Lethal Lockdown was Team Garrett, which is Garrett Bischoff, AJ Styles, Austin Aries, Mr. Anderson, and Rob Van Dam defeating Team Eric, which was Eric Bischoff, Gunner, Bully Ray, Christopher Daniels, and Kazarian. If Eric's team would have won, Garrett would have had to leave TNA. Of course, we know he didn't leave TNA. And Team Garrett winning gave Eric leaving TNA and renouncing his name. So that's exactly what happened. So that's basically what happened through the years at TNA Lockdown. And actually, I'm going to discuss the pay-per-view now, so this is what we're going to do. Now, this match was just recently added. Recently added to the point that there's not even columnists on the internet that are promoting this match or predicting this match yet, so I'm going to be the one to do it. And it's obviously on 4Down, and it is Joseph Park against Joey Ryan. And I don't know if that's going to be the main first match, not main, but the first match of the evening or not, but I would say signs point that that's a possibility. Or maybe the pre-show, possibly? I don't know. But basically, Joey Ryan has been not really on television for the longest time. He did The List with Robbie E and Robbie T recently, and he's done a lot of Explosion stuff and basically a lot of the TNA YouTube stuff, but he really hasn't done much on television since him and Matt Morgan lost the final match to Chavo Hernandez. Were not able to capture the TNA World Tag Team Championships. So Joey Ryan is basically trying to get his name back, and what he's going to do, he's going to try to defeat Joseph Park, which I love this character. I say every week how much I love Joseph Park. I love the way that the character is being done, and I see no reason not to predict that Joseph Park is going to win with the middle rope splash, and that's going to be how he beats Joey Ryan. So that's my prediction. So Ryan is under, Park is over, and now we're to the Battle of the Bros. Robbie E versus Rob Terry. Now, there's two ways you can go with this. Number one, you basically had, this was announced on Impact this week via just a slight, small promo in the back from Robbie E. No comment from Robbie T whatsoever, so Rob Terry didn't say anything, which is good, because Rob Terry is terrible on the mic, so keep him away. But Robbie E could sell this match, and that's exactly what he did. Now, if you have Rob Terry win, the feud ends as is, and it's a one-off, and that's what we do. But if you have Robbie E win, and by nefarious means, there is a potential chance to make this into a feud. Since they pushed this breakup so intensely, even though it was a slow burn, they pushed it to happen, and it finally did. Now you have to go somewhere with it. And now you have this match is now booked for Lockdown tomorrow night. And I think that Robbie E is winning with interference. And I'm still going out on a limb and say the right thing is to do this. I don't know if they're going to or not. Since he is now the NYWC Heavyweight Champion and still undefeated in the company, I think that Robbie E is going to win thanks to the big bro in this case. Yeah, I think the Big O's coming to TNA, and I'm still sticking to that. And I think even if he doesn't win and he doesn't come into the company, I still think that Robbie E is going to win tomorrow night. So Robbie E is my winner in this match. Even though everybody on 411 seems to pick Rob Terry, so I don't really know why. Another match that was just added literally on the spur of the moment, X Division title three-way dance, Shima Zion, Kenny King, the X Division champion, and Christian York. Regardless of this match has nothing going behind it, no storylines or anything, this is going to be awesome because these are three guys that can go. And Christian York definitely has refound his rejuvenation. He's found, I guess, the fountain of youth when it comes down to it. He's not an old guy whatsoever. He's still in his prime, and he can still go. And we've come a long way since York and Matthews in the Independents, so I think that Christian York is definitely going to be a top star in the X Division here in TNA, but it's not his night because it is now the era of Kenny King, and Kenny King will retain the championship. What I think is going to happen, honestly, I say Christian York lays out Shima Zion, and he's down, and then Kenny King's going to just toss him to the floor, and he's going to get the victory that way, or he could hit the Royal Flush and then get the victory, pinning Shima Zion. Either way, I think Zion's eating the pin, and I think Kenny King is retaining the X Division Championship. Match is going to be awesome, so it doesn't matter if it has no storyline behind it, so it's going to be great. Speaking of storyline, though, we have a Knockouts Championship matchup between Velvet Sky defending against Gail Kim. Now, sadly, this storyline has basically been built on the fact that Gail Kim has problems with Taryn Terrell, which, of course, is the Knockouts referee. So much that I think that eventually down the road, and I said this on a couple Impact recaps ago, I think we're going to see Taryn Terrell against Gail Kim in a one-off on Impact somewhere before this year is over. I'd say before the summertime, if I had to guess. Maybe before Slammiversary, if they don't want to use it at Slammiversary, which is a possibility as well. But I don't think that's going to happen. I definitely see Velvet's going to be the babyface of the division. She's not the greatest worker in the division as a babyface, obviously, but she's got the entire crowd behind her, and she's getting back in the swing of things. Obviously, she's been gone from the company for quite a while. Not to toot my own horn, she came back at Impact on the last Impact I was ever at, which was December last year, which will be the last TNA Impact at the Impact Zone that I actually was at in person. But when it comes down to it, you can't have her lose the title yet, and there's really not enough heat. Gail Kim would be a very capable champion and has been in the past, but I think they're going to go a different direction at this point. I think Velvet retains and maybe moves on to the next challenger or a rematch with Gail Kim at Slammiversary. Who knows? And speaking of Slammiversary, I'll mention that real quick. At TNAAsylum.com, which I've been to a couple of times, it was announced at the fan interaction today, during the Lockdown fan interaction, that Dixie Carter made the official announcement that Slammiversary this year will be held June 2nd in Boston, Massachusetts. That's right, they're going to be in Boston, it's going to be awesome. So that's a great wrestling community, a great wrestling legacy in Massachusetts, especially in Boston. So I think that's a great place for Slammiversary to be. Details coming up in the near future, exactly what's going on there. But like I said, Velvet Sky retains, and if they really want to do something with Lady Tapa, and they want to make her the steamroller of the division, like I was talking about on the Impact recap this week, maybe after the match is over, you have her just attack. She attacks Velvet from behind, and we set up our next challenger. Now, granted, she shouldn't be getting a title shot right out of the gun, but still, when it comes down to it, it might be the best way to not sour the fans on her, because if you noticed, and I definitely know how the Impact crowd works, she wasn't very liked, and it wasn't the, ooh, boo, we hate you heat. No, it was, get off my television heat, and you don't want that. But then again, as anybody says, and I'm sure a wise man once said, any publicity is good publicity. So if you're talking about Lady Tapa, then obviously she's on your mind. And obviously, then she was the right person to win. I wanted Ivelisse to win myself personally. And with the MMA tie-in with Bellator, I thought it was a foregone conclusion. That's exactly what was going to happen, but it didn't. So Ivelisse and the Blossom Twins are probably going to be used somewhere down the road, especially all three of them. Tremendous female talent, tremendous talent anyway, and I think that they'll do something in TNA down the road, but just not right now. So, the match is going to be awesome because Gail Kim's amazing, but I still think that Velvet retains, and that's the right thing to do. Then we've got the man who should never ever touch a microphone, Wes Briscoe, against Kurt Angle in a steel cage. It's our first steel cage match of the evening. Of course, not every match is in a steel cage this year. So this year we're going to have the first of three, and that's this match right here. Now, given what happened between Kurt Angle and Aces and Eights, and especially with Wes Briscoe, the fact that, storyline-wise, Angle brought Wes Briscoe to the company and pretty much got him his gut check shot. And, of course, with D'Lo being revealed as the VP of Aces and Eights, now we understand a lot better why Briscoe was even picked in that spot. But that's another story altogether. I think the match is going to be really good. I think it's going to be a really good technical match. Wes Briscoe can definitely go. He doesn't need to ever talk again, but he can definitely go. And I think the match with Kurt Angle is going to be really good. And Angle's going to probably pull one of his top cage moonsaults, once again, that he seems to love to do, especially on the big stage, and Lockdown being one of the 4 pay-per-views of this year is the big stage. So I think it's going to happen. Then we have once again, another 3-way dance. This time for the TNA World Tag Team Championships, you have my favorite tag team, Bad Influence, the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, and Frankie Kazarian, against Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Hernandez, as well as the current World Tag Team Champions, Austin Aries and Bobby Roode. Now, we've not seen Bobby Roode on television for quite a while. Not since they won the tag team titles in the UK have we seen Bobby Roode on television. We've seen Austin Aries, obviously. We've not seen Bobby Roode. So maybe that'll play something into the storyline here. Potentially. But the match is going to be amazing. Honestly, these 6 guys can go, and they're going to go. And I'm sure they're going to give them a ton of time. I say at least 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, so they can do what they do best, and that is wrestle. And it's going to be awesome. Now, obviously, I personally want Bad Influence to retain the titles because there's more money with Daniels and Kaz as tag team champions given the World Tag Team Champions of the World gimmick, and I think it works really well. But then again, obviously, 100%, and I said this before they went to the UK, and I said it when the match was announced with Jeff Hardy, that Christopher Daniels needs to be given a run with the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I think he has earned it. He's done more than his share for the company all through the years of TNA, and I really think that Daniels should win the World Heavyweight title. But if they're not on that plane yet, I think you do something with this, and I think that you have Aries and Roode retain, unless you want to break them up completely. But I don't think they're going to break that team up yet, because there's no collusion between the two yet, so not really. When it comes down to it, there was a little bit, and it was teased, and it ended up getting them to retain, so there's always that. And like I say, we're going to go with Bobby Roode and Austin Aries to retain, and I think that I'm going to go with Aries over Chavo. Aries is going to pin Chavo, so that's what my finish for that match. Right now, we are looking at Lethal Lockdown. It's our second of 3 cage matches here at Lockdown. And first off, we're going to go with this. Now, here's the thing. We've revealed the VP of Aces and Eights. There's no mask left on anybody in Aces and Eights. You'd think right now this is a guaranteed win for Team TNA. No, it's not. 100% it's not. Because here's the thing. You just brought D'Lo in. Now, granted, he's not the biggest reveal in the world. Neither was Taz. Neither was any of the Aces and Eights members. But they've made sense. They've made complete sense the whole time. Now, if you really think about it from that perspective, Aces and Eights have to win at Lockdown. And I think that they're probably going to push this to Bound for Glory, because unless they blow it off at Slammiversary, because literally you have Slammiversary and you have Bound for Glory. There's the only pay-per-views that are left. So Slammiversary you've got coming up, like I said, I mentioned this already. Slammiversary comes up in June, and then October is Bound for Glory. So you only have 2 pay-per-views left. So you're not going to blow it off on Impact. That's not going to happen. And you're not going to blow it off on one of the one-night-only pay-per-views, because we've already heard about it by now. So, no, that's not going to happen. So, Aces and Eights are over. I don't know if someone's going to turn tomorrow night. I don't think Sting's going to turn. I don't think Magnus is going to turn. I think he's going to stay an upper mid-card babyface for quite a while. Joe potentially could turn due to his former time with Taz. Obviously, Taz pretty much mentored him when he first got in the company. The matches with Kurt Angle that I talked about earlier on when we talked about Lockdown's history. But James Storm's not going to turn. I don't see that happening. And Eric Young, he's the question mark, but I don't think he'll turn. So, Young has been pretty useful in cage matches in the past for TNA. And Eric Young is the reason that the band disbanded. The band stable, obviously, I believe if I remember correctly, he pinned Scott Hall with an elbow drop off the top of the cage to win that match. So he disbanded the band, so maybe he can get rid of Aces and Eights. It's possible, but we'll find out soon enough. I think that Aces and Eights are over, and it's not going to be pretty, folks. It's going to be a brutal match, 100%, and there's probably going to be some bloodshed. But that's not going to be the only blood that is shed for the night. I'll get to that in a minute. So Aces and Eights are over. That's what I'm thinking. I think, I'm trying to think who gets pinned here. I think you pin... Well, Stingless lost cleanly to Devon on Impact, so you can't do that. I mean, odds are you pin Eric Young or Magnus, because they're the ones that pretty much, it doesn't matter if they get pinned or not, but then again, you need to build them back up, so you don't necessarily do that. Maybe James Storm, potentially, you pin him? I'm not sure. So I'm going to go with... I think Magnus gets pinned or submits. Either way, he's going to be the person that takes the fall for Lockdown. And that would set it up really well that if Joe turns, Joe is the reason that Magnus gets pinned. So, I mean, that could happen. But we don't know yet. We'll figure it out down the road. Obviously, we'll see tomorrow night at Lockdown. So, now, let's bring up the World Heavyweight title match. Alright. So, the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys had a very storied feud in the WWE and the WWF. And they put the ladder match stipulation on the map, obviously. The TLC matches were legendary. And both Jeff Hardy and Bully Ray have struggled to find their identity as singles competitors before. Now, Jeff Hardy comes back, he's rejuvenated, he's ready to go, and he's ready to make history yet again. And Bully Ray, on the other hand, has proven that he's not just a tag team act, that he definitely can go as a singles competitor, and he's not just a throw-in token heel. He actually knows what he's doing, and at one point, he was the hottest heel in the company. Now, the fact that he turned babyface, via Lockdown actually last year, the fact that he turned babyface makes for interesting television, to be totally honest, and you have two baby faces in this match. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is where Bully Ray turns on TNA. We find out he's in charge of aces and eights, and he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Well, I agree with part of that. I don't think Bully Ray is turning. I could be wrong, 100% I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to turn Bully Ray. I think they put a lot into him becoming a babyface, and he's over with the crowd, so I think they've done their job. Like, I really wish that they would have treated the Miz's babyface run like they've treated Bully Ray's. Both awesome heels, and one has made a tremendous transition to a babyface, which is Bully Ray, and one has made a kind of an abysmal one, which of course, sadly, is The Miz. But when it comes down to it, this match will be awesome. Given the fact it's also our third and final steel cage match of the evening. And it's going to be awesome. Now, I'll tell you right now, I do see interference in this match, definitely, without a question. And I think that maybe they attack both. Now, if you didn't already go with this in the past, I would have turned Jeff Hardy in this match and had Jeff Hardy beat Bully Ray with aces and eights interference. And maybe Jeff Hardy's behind aces and eights, but they're not going to do that. That's like turning Cena heel right now, even though I'm still going to go with the fact Cena's behind the Shield. But we'll talk about that at another time. We'll talk about WrestleMania somewhere in the near future. Like I said, we're really close to it right now. We're 4 weeks away. But still, Lockdown's going to be an awesome pay-per-view, and I'll tell you right now, it's going to be capped off one way or another, no matter if it's a heel turn or if it's a clean victory. Bully Ray will finally win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship tomorrow night. I'm not going to put money on that, but that's my legitimate prediction. That's what I'm going to go with. Now, Jeff Hardy could retain. That could possibly happen, but you've already set up the storyline with Austin Aries wanting the title shot. And, of course, that's why he Pearl Harbored Jeff Hardy from behind and challenged him to a match. And Hardy has history with Aries, and Aries has a great history with Bully Ray, and they've had some amazing matches. Actually, one that was done in front of me at the Impact Zone. So, actually, that was awesome. I got some great pictures of that. It was my birthday last year, so there's always that. Now, if you get a chance to, purchase Lockdown, watch Lockdown anyway, support TNA. Honestly, people, when it comes down to it, I know the WWE is the juggernaut. I get that 100%. TNA is not going to challenge WWE overnight. I understand that too. But you know what? It's different kind of entertainment, and it's very entertaining. There's a lot of great wrestlers, a lot of tremendous superstars that bust their ass for their fans, and I'll tell you right now that they deserve the dollar that you have just as much as the WWE does. Say what you want, and I know Will was the first person to say something about the fact that Hulk Hogan's involved. Don't worry about that. Worry about the fact you're going to have tremendous wrestling on pay-per-view, and that's exactly what's going to happen tomorrow night at Lockdown. So, let's go through my predictions one more time, just to make sure the people that joined us late, hi, welcome again, Sir Owen Disney here, giving TNA predictions. So here we are. We're going with, right now, I'm going to say Joseph Park defeating Joey Ryan. I'm going to say Robbie E. defeating Rob Terry with interference. I'm going with Kenny King pinning Shima Zion to win the three-way dance with Christian York. I'm going to say Gail Kim is losing to Velvet Sky, and Velvet Sky will retain the Knockouts Championship. Of course, more collusion between Gail Kim and Taryn Terrell to set up their eventual match they're going to have down the road. I say Kurt Angle defeats Wes Briscoe. I don't know if he'll tap him out or not. Maybe he will. Yeah, he taps him out. I say Kurt Angle taps him out. And that's the reason why Aces and Eights have to win later. But I'll talk to that in a minute. I say Bobby Roode and Austin Aries will retain the TNA World Tag Team Championships. And I think Chavo's eaten the pin from the greatest man who ever lived. And Aces and Eights are winning Lethal Lockdown. And there may be a turn, there may not be. I don't know what to say specifically. So I'm going to go with the fact that there will be a turn one way or another. Either way, Aces and Eights are winning tomorrow night for Lethal Lockdown. And yes, we will crown a brand new TNA World Heavyweight Champion tomorrow night as Bully Ray defeats Jeff Hardy, in my personal opinion, clean in the center of the ring. And then he will go on to face Austin Aries at Slammiversary. And of course, between now and then, I say Bad Influence get the tag team titles back. Or another team wins, and Bad Influence get them back, because if that's what we're leading to right now, we don't have Daniels against Jeff Hardy or Daniels against Bully Ray for the World Heavyweight Championship. You have to do it so that way is done, so you get the tag team title off Aries, or you can have Aries be a glory hound and want to have both titles at the same time, so you do it that way. Either way, Bully Ray wins, and his next feud is going to be with Austin Aries for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's TNA Lockdown, everyone, so hope you guys enjoyed the pay-per-view, and I will discuss that along with my thoughts on the Celebrity Apprentice this Monday. So until tomorrow, that's all I got to say about that.